Hey everyone, I've got a fun video today on the Lexicon MRC. So the MRC is a somewhat obscure device made by Lexicon. It's a MIDI remote controller, as MRC stands for. And what it is basically a programmer for various Lexicon effects units. Specifically the LXP1, the LXP5, the PCM70, and the LXP15. So some of those devices are firmware specific, which I'll talk to about that here in this video. But I really would just want to talk about this a little bit because it is a neat device, and I don't know if that many people are even aware that this thing exists. If you have an LXP1 or an LXP5, this is almost essential to have one of these to be able to really tweak the programs that are built into it as far as the presets go. For the PCM70, it's equally as good. That's what I've had this one for here. I've got a PCM70 and I love it, but again, with the PCM70, the presets on there are always, they're famous and people use them because they are really good, but you look at the PCM70 and it's a much more capable machine, but programming it kind of sucks. Going through the actual front buttons on the actual unit, programming the registers, like, it's kind of cumbersome and not generally a wonderful experience. So this makes it much better, which is nice. And then the LXP15 too. So that is equally not as much fun to program, but the LXP15, the bigger complaint I have about it is just the interface. The interface is laggy. Like, when you're trying to scroll the knob and go through menus, like, it's just slow. It doesn't update as fast as like the PCM70 does. So for that, these are very good to have as well. So I actually have a bunch of these. I've been buying these for years now, just on eBay as they show up, because they would go for really cheap. Some of these I got as low as like $25. They all work. A couple of them I didn't have power supplies for. They use a weird 7.5 volt AC input, but you can find adapters for them to get them going. But the reason I bought so many is because, as I mentioned with firmware versions, there's really two important firmware versions for this, version 3 and version 4. Version 3 supports the LXP1, LXP5, and PCM70, and then version 4 supports the LXP15 and drops the PCM70. So I've always had the version 3s, and I wanted the version 4 because I wanted to use one with my LXP15. But like, typically when sellers sell these, they don't say what firmware's on there, or they don't even know because they can't power them on. So I just kept buying them, hoping I would find one with version 4 software. It took me 4 until I finally got one, so I have version 4 now. Searching the internet too, I was not able to find version 4 anywhere. Nobody had any EEPROM dumps of it anywhere, so now I've got those, which is good. And I'll distribute out those as well, as I usually do. So one last thing about this too is that essentially you can also just use it for like generic MIDI control. So these essentially just output sysx, to control your devices in terms of the Lexicon devices, but they can do all your generic MIDI ones too. So you can do pitch bender, you can do your various assignments to different faders on your devices. You can do aftertouch, etc. It's all in there, so you can actually use these to program. Or use with other devices, since whatever it may be. Now, granted, there's obviously much better devices out there to do this now. If you just want, in terms of control surfaces and just, USB devices that you can hook up a computer that have all sorts of faders and buttons and stuff like that, there's tons of them. This is probably not what you want to do for that. But I like these specifically just because they're neat, to be honest. Big Lexicon logo on there. They look cool sitting on your desk. Kind of a, think of them like an MRC, for your 480Ls and things like that, but just a cheaper version for the more lower cost, more affordable, and more common effects units you're able to get. So I've wanted to clean mine up for a bit now. They all work, like I said, but there's a couple interesting things about these. One, the displays are actually backlit, but I've yet to ever find one that actually had a backlit display that was still bright. So I plan on either replacing the display in a couple of these, or replacing the EL strip if I can, if I've got the right size in there, if I can make that work. Two, I just want to clean them up. A couple of them are just kind of bad shape, dirty, scratched up, things like that. And then I'll probably take the best two, and then put the version 3 and version 4 firmware in each of those, so I can use it with my PCM70 and my LXP15. So I'll start with this one. This is one of my cleaner units, and it's got some of the best feeling faders of the bunch. So inside, not really a whole lot there. You've got a Z80 microcontroller, which is not surprising. The PCM70, along with the LXP1 and 5, I'll use Z80s inside there. This is developed obviously around the same time. These 3 EEPROMs are your firmware, as I mentioned, so that was what you would update if you needed to update the firmware. You've got 2 ROMs here, or no, these are 2 static RAMs, and then the battery that backs those up. So there is a local battery in here that you probably want to replace if it hasn't been replaced, because the configurations in here that you set up to program the various devices are stored locally. And then you just have some additional logic, and then an ADC here for your front faders. But that's it. The LCD sits right up here in the front, so it's easy to get access to. The fader board sits right there, so again, if those need to be cleaned, you can pull those out or replace if necessary. And then just a really simple analog supply, and that's really it. Just interfacing for the MIDI. So I'll start with the display, because I mentioned I want to take a look and see if I can either replace the backlight in that, or actually swap out the entire display. So the displays on these are a 24 character by 2-line LCD display, and as I mentioned previously, they've just got the standard EL backlight that goes off to a little high voltage supply sitting back there. So I've got a bunch of these displays. It's not a problem. These are just ones I bought off eBay. You know, $5, no big deal there. Nothing special about them. So I did look, and I don't have the EL strip the right size for this backlit display. So I've got some larger ones. You can cut these usually, and that'll be fine in terms of, you know, getting them in there. You got to be careful how you cut them though. You can't just cut them anyway. You have to make sure that, I think you have to cut the top on this one. Regardless, I'm not going to do it because I have all these other displays. And these newer displays as well, these are actually LED backlit. They're not, you know, they don't need that high voltage supply anymore. So the way this mounts in there is really nice too. It basically just kind of sits in, and then you've got these little metal brackets that come off the display that will still fit because the screws line up. Yeah, just about line up. I'll have to check that, but it should be close enough to get that in there. And then basically I need to wire 5 volts to run this actual LED backlit. But because this whole unit's 5 volts, it's all just TTL logic. I can pull 5 volts pretty much anywhere, you know, off the regulator or past the regulator there. So that won't be a big deal. Interestingly too, there's a cut wire on the ribbon cable going to the LCD here. I don't know why. I looked at my other units and it's not there. It's only this one. So I don't know if somebody's been in here. I can tell because the battery's all butchered, which I'm going to replace again anyway, and it's dead. I don't know if they accidentally cut that or put a screw through it or something like that. So either way, it doesn't matter. It's fine. But that's the ground as well. So it's not like they were trying to mess with contrast or something. But either way, I will get this new LCD in here. But before that, I'm actually going to take the rest of this front panel off and get the buttons out because I want to clean this really good. The actual little nuts that hold on these PCBs for the front panel buttons, they've actually got little metal nuts that are on these plastic screws, which is not uncommon but unusual. The problem is that because they're on there so tight, they actually strip the plastic, and essentially they're not coming off. So I don't want to mess with it. I'm just going to leave those on there. I'll just clean around them. It shouldn't be too bad. The face in this is pretty scratched up. Somebody was using something abrasive to clean it, so I'm actually going to polish that plastic. Not perfect, but way better than it was. Alright, so digging through my parts bin, I found I've got 2 different manufacturers of the 24x2 displays. This one is slightly different than this one. Or no, it was this one. These 2 that I've got are different manufacturers, and they're slightly different. So, whatever manufacturer this one is, doesn't say. Again, something about on eBay, it was like $5. It's pretty much an exact fit for this one. The only difference is the thickness between the 2 is different. The newer one is thicker because it has that LED backlight, so it sits a little bit higher. But again, it doesn't matter in this because the standoffs, there's plenty of room there. And in this case, instead of mounting these metal plates in the back, I just move them to the front, and it sits in there just about perfect. So I'm going to mount that in. Remember to peel that film off, plug it in. I got to wire my 5 volts up, and that will be good for the display anyway. So there really wasn't any good place to pull 5 volts off of other than the regulator itself, which I don't really like to do, but there was no pads or vias or anything 5 volts in the area that were good. So I pulled off the ground pad there around the regulator and just pulled the 5-volt directly off of it. So again, don't like it, but it'll be fine. So ran that to the display, and now we are good. So this actually is a black inverted display, and the contrast still works, which is good as well. So that'll look nice in there. I've got some more. I think the other ones are blue, but I'll leave this one here, and I'll put blue in the other one, that way I can tell them apart. So last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the battery. I'm going to try to put a socket in there, just because it's cleaner. And then actually I'm going to remove this high voltage transformer, because now, not sure if you can hear it, but now that the EL backlight's gone, there's no load on that power supply and the transformer is whining. So I'm just going to remove it from this guy altogether, because it's no longer needed. Okay, I've got the high voltage transformer removed and battery replaced in the socket. Of course I didn't have the right socket for this. It always seems that way. No matter how many I buy, I never have the right one, but either way, it'll work. So just gotta power it up, make sure everything's good. And nice. Looks all happy. So I will get this back together and we will go test it out. Alright, so here I'm over and I'm going to demo the use of the freshly rebuilt MRC along with my PCM70. So with the PCM70, you've got various algorithms in there. In the case of the firmware I have on here, version 2, I've got 7 different algorithms. And then of those algorithms, you have presets that are available on this unit for it. For example, Rich Chamber, which is a very popular preset on this unit. And I've got that loaded right now. So presets are essentially just made up of various parameters that are set in the unit and saved. So for Rich Chamber, this is actually the map of all the variable registers inside the unit for this algorithm. They're algorithm specific, and all the default values that are set there. So this doesn't tell you what obviously all the different actual registers are in terms of reverb time and stuff like that. But if you look in the manual for the PCM70, it'll all be listed there. Now with the MRC, for any algorithm, what they do is they actually have only 12 parameters available for every actual algorithm that you can adjust. So even though on this sheet there's a lot more than 12 things, these are the 12 things for essentially the chamber algorithm that they have on there. So reverb time for different frequencies, room size, pre-delay, crossover, frequency high cuts, master volumes, reverb levels, gates, and then diffusion. So those are what you can adjust on this unit. So on the MRC, if you look, you can check, and right now I'm on the chamber reverb. You can check that by holding the page button. And then from there, you can actually adjust these values in real time in terms of what you want that parameter to be. So, for example, we will pick room size, because that's one of the easier ones to be able to tell in terms of what it is. So I will increase. So you can see that it's actually adjusted in real time on the unit as I adjust these parameters. Some of them, like the actual room size, it's a big algorithm change, so it's a little bit more delayed. Other parameters, as you adjust them, are pretty much more real time, which is nice. So you can see that being there for the actual low frequency. So that's really the strength of the MRC, is the fact that adjusting these registers manually and going through and actually selecting the register and then adjusting the parameter, like, it sucks. It sucks to have to do it from the front panel. And that's why a lot of people don't do it. They just use the presets, because A, the presets are really good, and then B, it sucks to do. One last little note about the MRC as well is because it has that internal memory that's battery backed up, you can actually store presets within this unit itself and then send those off to the PCM70 or multiple PCM70s or whatever FX units you're using that this is compatible with, one of the LXPs. So that was always pretty cool. I thought that you had more basically storage space by adding this into your setup. So that's really all there is to say about this. I mean, there's a lot more technical details and stuff like that. You can go through the manual and explain more, but just the gist of it is it's a cool programmer to allow you to real-time actually modify the presets and the algorithms on the PCM70 or LXP15 or 1 or 5. So is it the best way to do it? Not necessarily. You can do this with software today. You could do it with other more modern controllers. But to me, this is one of the coolest ways to do it, just because it's a neat piece of hardware that sits in your desk, dedicated for the Lexicon. So I like it a lot. But anyway, thank you for watching.